Hey guys, what is up? It is P from PTV and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to our 5th consecutive day of uploading Outriders content for you guys. Hey, if you're appreciating the videos up to this point, if you're thinking maybe the information is super helpful to you, make sure to smash a like, hit the subscribe button for lots more like this, and let me know, maybe comment down below, comment some of the things maybe you're frustrated with from the last patch, or maybe on the other end of the spectrum, maybe you enjoy the patch. So let me know what you think down below. Let's make sure to keep it positive, okay? So today's discussion, I want to talk about the repercussions of yesterday's nerf. Granted, we did do sort of a review of the patch yesterday, but I want to talk about some of the things that I've directly dealt with in my gameplay experience after the patch. I mean, we all know yesterday they nerfed all of the, what seemed to be all of the bullet builds. So whether that was like the infinite bullet builds for the Pyromancer and the Trickster, and then as well as some of the bullet builds for the Technomancer as well. Those things all have been like incredibly nerfed, like to the point where I was noticing some of the things got, some of the buff percentage damages got completely cut in half. So I'm playing on my Pyromancer with the build that I had made it and posted a video about just a few days ago. I mean, you could tell, I mean, I was doing, you know, cut like 33% of my damage out of the equation. It was that bad, and pretty much past tier 10 expeditions, I was finding it hard to even do the damage that I needed to do. And you guys know for that build, you know, the survivability aspect of it revolves around doing, you know, lots and lots of damage just all the time. So the build is almost unviable past tier 10. So I'm already looking into some new builds that I want to go into, and you can expect those pretty soon. New Pyromancer builds. It should be pretty good. But obviously, that, I mean, that's just not fun, and I'm going to tell you why here in a little bit. We'll move on. The other thing that they went over and did was the Chem Plant and the Boom Time expeditions received a, I mean, up to, I think it was like 3 or 4 minutes for Chem Plant got removed for the gold target. Which is incredibly low. And then I think Boomtown for their gold target is down to 6 minutes and 30 seconds, both of which to me strike me as completely undoable, like not even fathomable. Like you would have to be so cracked out of your mind to accomplish either of those. So to me, what ended up happening was they took the most viable options for the expedition runs and they turned them completely irrelevant. So you could argue, hey, maybe they wanted to make sure everybody was experiencing all the expeditions, and fair enough to that point. But I think what they've inadvertently done is basically start this perennial loop where they're going to be buffing and nerfing and tinkering with the times to where the community is just going to go, okay, if you mess with that one, I'm going to go over here, and I'm not going to mess with those anymore. Now it doesn't even make sense to do Chem Plant and Boomtown, like, because I said they're just not viable. It's just, you got to be cracked out of your mind to do it. So what's the community going to do? They're obviously not going to be participating in either of those expeditions anymore. So to me, you know, I mean, if you wanted to do it to make it fair, I get it. But there's a 4-minute difference between Chem Plant before the patch and after the patch. That just seems so excessive to me. And it seems like they're dipping their hands in the jar just a little bit too far, and they've been caught. And the community's not dumb. They understand kind of what's happening right there. So obviously I don't agree with that. Some options moving forward, I did touch on it a little bit in yesterday's video, and I want to go ahead and run it through just a little more detailed with you guys. Like I told y'all in yesterday's vid, my background comes not really from looter shooters. Like I've dabbled in a couple looter shooters, but my background comes more from like the hack and slash dungeon crawler looters of like Diablo and Path of the Exile and things like that. And so what I wanted to do was share some ideas that I think could be good for a looter shooter that stem directly from those. And you might be saying, hey P, I don't know if that's possible. Well, let me tell you this, they've already implemented some of the things from the in-game formats from both of those games into this one, right? And you're like, okay, well, which one is that? The entire in-game expedition experience is just like the Rift and Greater Rift experience from the in-game of Diablo and Diablo 3 in particular. And so like the time, trying to aim for like the best time and kind of like beating those time challenges, and then tiering up and going farther and farther. And so you might be saying, okay, well, they stole that. Well, what else can we steal? And the best thing that I could see going forward for the Outriders and its community is to, as soon as possible, implement seasons. And so you're like, okay, well, what is seasons and what does it do? Well, at the beginning of every Diablo season, you start with a fresh character. I'm talking like brand new, no resources carried over, but naked character, right? You start there, you play the game again, you get to the end game, and you have to build your character up all over again. And so those seasons usually last between 3, 4, 5 months, something like that. And then they'll start another season and you'll do it all over again. They're up to season 22 over there. Now the rewards for the season, right? Because adding the season, you have to do 2 things. The reward for the seasons in Diablo a lot of times have to do with cosmetic apparel, right? Whether that's adding like wings to your character, whatever the case. And so I know that you're probably sitting there thinking, well, in Outriders, we don't have a whole lot of cosmetic appeal that we can control, right? Like certain things look the way they do, and that's just that. Well, in Diablo, they have a transmogrify option, and that's a big word. And all it means is, hey, you can go and as long as you've acquired a piece of armor or you've acquired a weapon on that game, you can go and transmogrify your current gear to look like any other piece of gear in the game that you've already acquired, right? So if you, for example, if I was to get a gun, right? And I was like, oh man, I love the way that gun looks, but it is just not for my build whatsoever. What I could do is now that I've acquired it, I could go over to the transmogrify skin and just take whatever gun I am using that works for my build, and I could just make it look like that. It would be totally badass. It would be, I mean, I don't understand why it's not in the game as is. I'm not trying to say the game is bad, but it's definitely missing that, the cosmetic appeal, and it is there. There's some really cool looking gear in the game. The cosmetic appeal is being completely underappreciated by not having the transmog option in there. Now, in addition to the seasons, you're like, okay, well, why would I want to just start a brand new character over? And what's the appeal of that? Like I said, you could be getting exclusive cosmetic things for completing the new season challenges, like things exclusive to that season, to where if you didn't get them, you wouldn't have them, right? Now, we don't want things like that. That would include exclusive guns and such, because we want everybody to have the opportunity to make all the builds, and we don't want builds that have exclusive items in there, because what that does is, I mean, it takes a part of the community and it says, hey, you couldn't play as much as I could during this season, so now you can't even make this build. And that's something that I think we want to avoid. But it would be cool to add like some badass wings or like pets to the game. Obviously all cosmetic. We don't want it to impact gameplay. I just want it to look cool. Right? We just want things that look cool, and I think every gamer can appreciate that, to be honest with you. Lastly, I do believe for the seasons, what you should be adding is, because it takes 3, 4, 5 months, and then a lot of times Diablo has a month in between the last season and the next season, right? You essentially give yourself 6 months to create new content and then dish it out for the next season. And that could be in the form of, the Eye of the Storm, or another version of that, or different raids, or like even in Division, where they upped the raid level from 3, I think it was 3 to 6 people. All of a sudden you could do larger activities like that. They have 6 months to create new content like that, and you can make seasons revolve around the brand new content. I think that's a pretty good idea. All that said, I don't want to dive too much further into it because I don't want the video to be super duper long. If you agree with what I said, man, and even if you don't, but you appreciate the direction that I'm coming from, trying to look after the community, man, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe for more videos just like this one, and let me know down in the comments section, what are you thinking, man? What do you think is the best direction for the game, and how can we improve it? Also, I am in dire need of a new Pyromancer build. My stuff is completely unusable, so we're going to have to go a different direction. Suggestions down in the comment section as well would be appreciated. That said, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it more than you can imagine, and I will see you in the next one, man. Peace.